Diving often gives a feeling that is different from any other. The water can feel peaceful and quiet, but beneath the surface, danger can quickly turn excitement into fear. The stories of Keith Price, a skilled cave diver, and Nicholas Lawrence, a record-breaking freediver, show how easily things can go wrong. Before we dive into the video, I'd like to ask for your support by subscribing to our channel. Currently, only 8% of our viewers are subscribed, but your subscription helps us create more content like this. Simply click the subscribe button, like this video, and hit the bell icon to stay updated on our latest uploads. As they set out on their journeys, they faced challenges that tested their skills and courage. What exactly went wrong during their dives? And were they lost, or did they make it out alive? 3 experienced divers planned a dive in Quintana Roo, confident in their skills and eager to explore the vibrant underwater world. As they descended into the dark cave, they felt a sense of excitement. However, they were unaware of the dangers that they were about to face in those depths. Quintana Roo, located on Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, is famous for its beautiful underwater caves and cenotes, drawing divers from all over the world. Mexico has over 6,000 cenotes and many cave systems. Quintana Roo is famous not only for its stunning geological formations, but also for its rich history, with ancient artifacts and bones found in its caves. These captivating underwater landscapes attract divers of all skill levels. Among them were 3 experienced divers: Keith Price, who was 72 years old at the time, along with Tom Corwin and Bill Levine. Eager for an unforgettable underwater adventure, the group set out to explore the beautiful cave of Quintana Roo known as Systemma Camo. Systemma Camo is one of the longest submerged cave systems in the world, extending over 50 kilometers. The cave features a complex network of underwater passages, making it a challenging and intriguing site for exploration. Diving in the cave requires special training because of their complex paths and different depths. The underwater views include amazing stalactites and stalagmites. On February 25, 2015, at approximately 2 p.m., the divers met at the entrance of Cenote Muchachos, one of the beautiful spots leading into Systemma Camo. With plenty of diving experience, they felt comfortable exploring the winding cave systems. Excitement filled the air as they went over their dive plan, talking about the interesting sights that they all wanted to see. They took their time to get ready, checking that their equipment was working well, tanks filled, regulators tested, and safety gear on. They took a moment to discuss their plan. They would explore the cave system, keeping a close eye on their gas supplies and the time spent underwater. As they made their way into the cenote, the beauty of the underwater formations captivated them. Sunlight filtered through the water, illuminating the stalactites and stalagmites that adorned the cave. After entering the water, they began their descent into the depths of Cenote Muchachos. At about 2:35 p.m., the divers went down to a depth of around 60 feet. As they swam through the twisting paths of the cave, they saw amazing underwater sights, like interesting rock shapes and colorful fish swimming in and out of the small spaces. The feeling of friendship among the divers was strong. They used hand signals to communicate, pointing out cool things and sharing their finds. After about 35 minutes underwater, the divers checked their gas levels and reached their turnaround pressures. This meant that it was time to start their ascent back to the surface. They signaled to each other, making sure that everyone was ready to head back. This important moment in their dive required careful attention to how much gas they had left and a well-planned exit strategy. Divers usually follow this practice to ensure their safety and to avoid running out of air while exploring. As they started to swim back up, Tom and Bill noticed that Keith was gone. Now, at first they didn't think much of it because they knew the cave well and it was easy to get separated in the winding paths. But as they kept going up, a feeling of worry began to settle in. They looked at each other, realizing that they hadn't seen Keith for a while. The familiar cave that once felt safe now seemed a bit scary. They stopped for a moment and signaled to each other to stay close and watch for their missing friend. After a few minutes of searching, Tom and Bill's worry deepened. They decided to retrace their steps along the guidelines. The guideline is crucial because it marked the safe route back and helped prevent them from getting lost in the maze of the cave. With each passing minute, their anxiety increased. It wasn't just that they couldn't see him anymore, but they also felt uncertain about whether he was still on the right path. Eventually, Tom and Bill ran out of gas, and they had to make a tough choice. Keep looking for Keith, or leave the cave in order to stay safe. They felt heavy with worry, knowing that staying could put their lives at risk. However, they ultimately decided to exit Cenote Muchachos at around 3 p.m., leaving the dark water behind. Once they were at the surface, their hearts raced as they contacted Keith's wife, hoping that he might have come back before them. But when they asked if Keith had surfaced ahead of them, the answer was a clear no. The weight of those words hit them hard, making their fear for Keith grow even stronger. Realizing the urgency of the situation, they quickly told the rescue team at the cenote about the missing diver. They knew that they had to start searching right away. The other divers thought that Keith might have run out of air in the cave, which usually happens when divers go too deep underwater. The pressure increases, which makes them use up their air faster. If they don't keep track of their air supply, they can run out and panic. This made them worry even more about Keith's safety, but they also thought that he might have found another way out. An underwater search team was quickly formed to find Keith. They began by searching the main line of the cave and explored 150 feet down each side passage, but unfortunately they found no sign of him. The only clue that they noticed was a faint trail of bubbles leading deeper into the cave. As they followed the trail, the bubbles eventually disappeared, leaving them with no direction. Realizing that they had reached the limits of what could be done safely, the team decided to end their search for the day. They knew that they needed to regroup and plan for a more thorough search when conditions were safer, all while continuing to hope for the best outcome for Keith. Meanwhile, land searches were underway, combing the area around the cenotes for any sign of Keith Price. Despite their efforts, he was nowhere to be found. As the sun began to set, the initial hope started to fade. Family and friends gathered at the cenote, anxiously waiting for updates. With each moment, everyone felt the weight of the situation, praying for good news while grappling with the reality of the search's challenges. The next day, the underwater search started again with new energy. Local divers joined the effort, eager to help find Keith Price. They carefully got ready, knowing that the underwater area could be tricky. The search team followed the earlier bubble trail once more, which led them to Cenote Camilo. When they arrived at Cenote Camilo, they found Keith's 2 dive tanks at the water's edge. One tank had 450 psi of air left, and the other had 500 psi. By the way, psi stands for pounds per square inch, which measures the pressure of the air inside the tanks. These numbers suggested that he had likely been in the cave not long ago, as these air levels matched someone who had just come out of the water. They also noticed a rope leading into the jungle. However, when the divers called out for Keith, there was no answer. Worried, they went back to Cenote Muchachos to tell the surface team what they had discovered. Once the surface team was found and contacted, they followed the guideline into the jungle and discovered signs of Keith's passage. They found his fins and helmet left behind, showing that he had gone there. The guideline ended after about 200 feet, but they could see where Keith had gone by the broken branches and disturbed plants around. It was clear that he had moved deeper into the jungle. After following the trail for over 1,600 feet, they finally found Keith face down on the ground. He was still wearing his mask, equipped with prescription lenses, along with his wetsuit, hood, cave diving harness, buoyancy compensator, lights, and dive computer. This moment brought a mix of relief and sadness to the search team. They had found him, but the reality of the situation had begun to sink in. An autopsy was conducted, and it was determined that a heart attack was the cause of Keith's death. However, the circumstances surrounding his separation from the group remained unclear. Bill Phillips, who investigated the incident, noted that Keith had likely followed an adjacent line that had permanent arrows directing him deeper into the cave. And unfortunately, those arrows led away from his point of entry. Phillips concluded his report by explaining that at some point during the dive, Keith must have realized that the guideline he was following would not lead him back to the entrance. Instead of returning to the main line, he had encountered several jump lines. Following one of these without the use of a jump reel to maintain a continuous guideline resulted in him becoming disoriented. The report highlighted that Keith had made a total of 3 so-called intentional visual gaps in his navigation, neglecting to maintain a continuous guideline back to his original exit. This lapse in judgment ultimately cost him his life. Keith managed to surface at Cenote Camilo, but while attempting to reach his vehicle and starting point overland, he likely became overwhelmed by the combination of physical exertion, dehydration, and overheating. Keith's age may have further complicated his physical resilience, making it harder for him to recover from the exertion of navigating the cave and then traversing the jungle. The harsh realities of cave diving extend beyond the water. Divers must also be prepared for the challenges they face when transitioning to the surface. Another determined diver who dove into the bright blue ocean, aiming to break a free diving record until a wave of panic hit him. What started out as an adventure turned into a fight for survival. Would he reach his goal, or would his fate be similar to Keith? Let's now uncover the story of Nicholas Lawrence. He was a dedicated free diver known for breaking records, and he was ready to take on a new challenge. He planned to try for a national record in the free immersion category at the Vertical Blue event. In this type of diving, he wouldn't use fins, relying only on his strength and skill to go deeper. Lawrence's passion for the sport and his hard work made him a strong competitor. As he prepared for this exciting dive, many fans and fellow divers were eager to see if he could achieve another amazing record in freediving. The Vertical Blue is one of the most prestigious competitions in freediving, attracting top divers from all over the world. Held in the clear waters of the Bahamas, it challenges participants to dive as deep as possible on a single breath. Freediving, the art of diving without breathing equipment, requires not only physical strength, but also mental focus and training. Divers rely on their ability to hold their breath and equalize the pressure as they descend into the depths. Events like Vertical Blue showcase the incredible skills and dedication of athletes who push the limits of human potential. The competition highlights the beauty of the underwater world, inspiring both participants and spectators to appreciate the wonders of the ocean. Among the competitors at the Vertical Blue event was Nicholas Lawrence Mavoli, a talented freediver hailing from Dunedin, Florida, and currently residing in Brooklyn, New York. At 32 years old, he had made a name for himself not only in the diving community, but also in the film and television industry as a skilled prop technician. His work includes contributions to popular productions like the CW series Gossip Girl and Comedy Central's Chappelle's Show. Beyond his technical expertise, Nicholas is also an accomplished actor and writer. Nicholas Lawrence Mavoli started competitive freediving in 2012, marking the start of his journey in the sport. He quickly found success by winning the title at Deja Blue, a well-known competition in the Cayman Islands that year. This achievement showed his talent and passion for diving. As he continued to compete, Nicholas improved his skills and gained respect among other divers, becoming a strong competitor in the freediving community. In May of 2013, Nicholas made history by becoming the first unassisted American diver to reach a depth of 328 feet. He completed this amazing dive in just 3 minutes and 45 seconds, showing his strength, focus, and determination. This achievement was a big moment in his career and showed just how dedicated he was to pushing his limits in freediving. Nicholas Lawrence Mavoli's skills in freediving kept shining as he won again in 2013 at the Cursed Cell competition. This victory helped him become a well-known name in the freediving world. He also did well at the Caribbean Cup, where he took an impressive 3rd place, competing against top divers like William Trubridge, who was the main winner of the event. Nicholas arrived in the beautiful Bahamas with a clear goal: to set a new national record in free immersion diving by reaching a depth of 315 feet. He was excited and ready to challenge himself in this tough sport. The stunning scenery of the islands inspired him as he prepared for his dive, showing his dedication and passion for freediving. On November 13th, 2013, the Vertical Blue tournament began, bringing together a diverse group of athletes. A total of 34 competitors from 16 different countries came to take part, creating a lively and friendly atmosphere. This international event not only showcased the skills of the divers, but also built a sense of community among those who love the ocean. The tournament featured 3 different categories of competition, allowing athletes to show their talents in various ways. Each category had its own challenges, testing their strength, skills, and mental focus. As Nicholas joined the other competitors, the excitement in the air grew, setting the stage for amazing performances and the chance to break records. At 12:25 p.m., Nicholas, accompanied by 15 other athletes and observers, along with 5 safety divers, plunged into the depths, diving face first into the dark blue water. The thrill of the moment was palpable as he descended, focused on his goal. Meanwhile, the officials at Vertical Blue monitored his progress closely using sonar technology, ensuring safety while tracking his journey into the deep, showcasing the blend of competition and innovation in the sport. Everything seemed to be going smoothly for Nicholas as he descended into the ocean. However, at a depth of 223 feet, he began to encounter difficulties that made it clear that he was struggling. Observers noted that he appeared to be turning back, which raised concerns among his fellow athletes. Despite the challenges he faced, Nicholas made a bold decision. Instead of going back up, he chose to dive deeper to try and set a new American record. Freediving becomes riskier as divers go beyond 200 feet. At this depth, the pressure increases significantly, making it harder to breathe and causing discomfort. Many divers experience a feeling called equalization, where they must balance the pressure in their ears and lungs. Nicholas knew the risks, but he pushed himself to continue. His fellow competitors felt uneasy, realizing that he was not making the safest choice. Despite the discomfort he was feeling, he remained determined to reach his goal. After a tense 3 minutes and 38 seconds, Nicholas successfully reached the surface on his own. Despite the significant discomfort he had endured, his determination and strength shone through. Emerging from the depths, he proved not only his physical ability, but also his strong commitment to his dream. After making it back to the surface, Nicholas quickly removed his goggles, signaling that he was fine. However, his speech was slurred, and his eyes looked vacant and unfocused, raising immediate concerns among those watching. It was clear that something was not right as he struggled to regain his composure after the intense dive. More than 30 seconds passed, and then, without warning, Nicholas collapsed backward into the ocean. Witnesses were alarmed, as it's not uncommon for athletes to experience brief lapses in consciousness after deep dives. However, this incident felt different. His unconsciousness seemed to last longer than what was typically expected. The situation quickly escalated into a serious concern for Nicholas's safety. Fellow competitors and onlookers feared for his well-being, realizing that the challenges of deep freediving could have taken a severe toll on him. As they waited for help, the gravity of the moment became clear, highlighting the risks involved in pushing the limits of human endurance. 5 safety divers quickly sprang into action when Nicholas was pulled onto a nearby platform. Among them was an Australian paramedic trained in life support. Event physician Barbara Jeske began her efforts to revive him right away. During this critical moment, safety diver Marco Cosentino spotted a serious issue with Nicholas's lung and immediately alerted the team. They carefully turned Nicholas onto his side to help him breathe easier. As they did this, blood began to flow from his mouth, creating a pool on the platform before it mixed with the water below. This alarming sight heightened everyone's concern for his condition. The medical team worked diligently to assess Nicholas and provide the necessary care. Tension filled the air as they focused on reviving him, making every second count. Nicholas was rushed to the hospital, where doctors discovered that he had suffered from pulmonary edema. They drained approximately 800 cubic centimeters of fluid from his lungs in an effort to save him. Unfortunately, despite their best efforts, he was declared dead at around 1:44 p.m. Everyone at the competition was shocked to witness the tragic death of such an experienced diver. Incidents in cave diving or free diving can happen to anyone, regardless of how many years of experience they have. The stories of Keith and Nicholas will always remind us that even if you have all the experience and skills, you can still face risks or potential death in extreme sports.